I made PLAT on TFT.
Uh-oh.
Hey guys, AquaCow here. My intention going into this series on League was to climb from my current rank, Silver 2, up to PLAT in solo duo. However, after going into several games, I've discovered that my ping is too high to be able to do this. Since lockdown began in the UK, I've had 5 other people sharing my house. Now 2 of them are my housemates, but the other 3 are what I like to call internet leeches. I know that at the moment there is obviously a high demand for internet with everyone being at home. However, they are the only ones I can complain to, and so I have to blame them. It's the only way. So until my ping settles back down to something playable, I'm switching over to TFT ranked and climbing through rank there. So as I said, I'm already into PLAT on TFT. My goal is to get to Diamond. Patch 10.9 just hit live, so I'm going to be testing that out and jumping into ranked. Like my failed solo duo attempts, I'm going to be putting up some game highlights of my progress over the next coming weeks and months on here. Now, check out some of the comps I tried on my way from Gold 2 up to Plat 4, and see how I did. Cheers! So I found myself playing Kale and Friends a couple of times during my climb. So that's where you've got Kale as your central carry, and then you've got snipers alongside that, so I went K Ash. And then you go Blade Master, obviously the Kale proccing that, as well as Chrono, Blaster and Celestial. So there's a couple of different variations to the build. I went with this one most often because I just found myself kind of picking that up most often. Ideally, I've got obviously a Jinx in there. You want the MF rather than the Jinx to proc the Valkyrie as well. But this, I just found a Jinx earlier. I think I get the MF later. But I've got the items there, GA, Hand of Justice and QSS on Kale. Ideally, rather than Hand of Justice and QSS, you'd go Rage Blade and Rapid Fire Cannon, but I didn't happen to find them in this game, and these items also work really well on Kale. Not ideal, but do work. So you can see I'm doing fairly well. I'm on a streak, 4-win streak, which is pretty good. There's still 7 people left, but I'm second place, placing fairly well. I think I end up 4th in this one actually, so I do just get peeked out. I think I don't quite get the MF early enough, and unfortunately get knocked out quite early. But in other ones, I see myself, yeah, you're getting a consistent 4th place plus with this build. There's no doubt about that, as long as you don't just focus. If you can't adapt early, and if you don't find the Kale early enough, it's not always the best to go for. But I think it's definitely worthy of 4+ placement pretty much all the time. Even if you don't get the Kale early enough, it's still pretty good and pretty strong. So another comp that I found myself playing quite often was Brawler Blaster. The good thing about Brawler Blaster is that you can switch at Graves out for an MF in the late game. So it's fairly easy to get the early Brawler Blaster proc with the traits, because you can put in the Graves, and you've pretty much effectively got 2 1 cost, 2 2 cost, 2 3 cost and 2 4 cost units, and then you can, as I say, replace the Graves with the MF late game, and then you've effectively switched out your 1 cost for a 5 cost legendary, and you're pretty much set. So I liked playing this one. It was always fairly strong. Again, another always came top 4 with this one. Didn't really have to mess around too much. Obviously, if it got contested, it was always a bit hard because a lot of the components from that did get used in other comps as well. So if you're getting directly contested as well, it does make it a little bit harder to sustain through, but even then I still found that I could play around with it a little bit and kind of push out those that are contesting me early enough that I can kind of survive to at least that top 4 and gain some LP and move my way up the ladder. The comp that I've always enjoyed is Protector Mystic Celestial, so I think it's an insanely strong combo. It's strong early game. If you manage to get that early Zen Zhao level 2, you're pretty much set. And I think that once you get to the late game, it's fairly unstoppable. I find myself pretty much consistently getting top 2 with this build. Sometimes get a first, occasionally get 3rd or 4th, but it's pretty much always in the top 2 when I go for this, mainly because you kind of scout out early whether you're going to be able to play this, because if it's highly contested, because a lot of people do go for it, then it's fairly hard, because the ideal way to play this is a slow roll. So you're going to hit that level 5 and you're just going to be saving gold as much as you can. You're going to level up to 5 from 4 with 4 gold, and then you're just going to slow roll for the rest of the game. Well, not for the rest of the game, up until level 7 really. Maybe going halfway up level 7. you're just going to kind of conserve gold, get to 50 gold, and then always just re-roll until you get those. I generally, once I've got 2 level 3s, I'm pretty happy, but if I get 3, all the best. But I tend to see that like once you've got 2 level 3s, you're pretty much set for what you need to be doing for the rest of the game. You're strong enough that you can kind of start surviving when you level up, just to kind of get the full comp on the board, the full traits on the board. Because obviously at that point you'd probably be level 6 or 7, you haven't got the full traits of 4 of each, so you just want to get those on the board at that point, and then I think you're pretty much unstoppable. The healing is insane. If you get the Lulo to finish it off, I mean, perfect. You're kind of her ult's just blasting them away, keeping them down while your front line does the work and your back line's healing. It really is an insane build. I'm always angry when I come up against it because I always feel like I'm going to lose, but when I play it, I feel kind of a little bit unstoppable, which is great, and it's definitely a comp I'm going to keep on building, and hopefully it's going to kind of stay on through in the new patch. So there are probably 2 comps I still need to mention. The first is Star Guardian Sorcerer. It's an insane comp. If you're getting the right items, a lot of tiers early, you're landing a couple of Star Guardians early as well, which is quite nice, then you're sorted. I think that if you've got the build in front of you and you can do it, then definitely do it. Don't mess around and try and play around with another build, because it's just so strong at the moment that you should definitely kind of capitalise on it early. You're pretty much always going to be contested, as far as I found. If you're not, again, you're lucky, go for it. But if you're being contested and you found those early Star Guardians and early Sorcerers, then definitely give it a go and contest, because if you've got the better items, I mean, you're in with a good shot of defeating them earlier, and then you can kind of dominate the late game. The second comp I'm going to talk about is obviously Mech Infiltrator. It's insane, it's been very strong for a long time, and it's still very viable. I'm getting top placements pretty much every time I use it. The same with the Star Guardian Sorcerer, you're looking at top 2. Obviously if there's some contention and contesting from other people in the game, potentially going to get a little bit lower, but it's always going to be top 4 with those 2 builds, as long as you play it right, which is fairly easy to do. Just get the right items, make sure you get the right items in the carousel. Hopefully you get some right items early on, so you know you're going to go for that build, but really it's kind of hard not to be right with that one. I think even if you haven't got those 2 quite perfect, you're still going to beat a lot of other comps, as long as you're not falling really behind. So I definitely recommended both of those 2. I have a lot of fun playing both of those 2, and I will keep doing so as long as they're still viable, which they look like they will be in the next patch. They've done some big changes to Mech Infiltrators for the next one, so the mechs, I think the mech as a whole is becoming a little bit weaker, but the mech pilots are getting stronger, so that will be quite interesting to see how that plays out in the next patch, because I think the mech pilots themselves are fairly strong anyway. I don't think they're particularly weak, so when they jump out of the mech after it gets defeated, I think if they're going to be stronger there, that's all the best. I mean, you can win with a Mech Infiltrator comp, you can still win once the mech's down and you're a little bit behind, because I feel like the Mech Infiltrator, I feel like the mech pilots are still pretty strong, so we'll see how that plays out and how well it goes. I've heard that Riot might reduce it even more so and kind of nerf it a little bit more if it doesn't do what they want it to, but we'll just see. I'll definitely be playing that, and I'll definitely be playing Star Guardian Sorcerer in the next patch. So unfortunately the match that got me into Plat wasn't recorded. Annoying. Can you guess why? It was the internet going down, of course. Virgin Media's had a couple of problems over the last couple of days, and unfortunately I was about 3 minutes into the game and the internet crashed and went down, so I quickly switched over to the mobile app and finished off the game there, and managed to get first place, which brought me up into Plat 4, 23 LP, got 41 LP luckily, got a little screenshot of it just to put on here. But it was a bit annoying because I haven't got any footage to show all of you, but yeah, that's the one that got me through. Obviously it was a Mech Infiltrator, as I just talked about, insanely strong. You can see that obviously someone else went Mech Infiltrator, the guy that came 4th place, so I managed to outplay them and bag myself first place, knock them out, find a couple of extra units and get some more 2 stars. As you can see, I had 1 3-star, full 2-star board other than that, which was pretty strong. And yeah, now I'm into Plat, so from here I'm looking to kind of make my way up to Diamond. I haven't actually played a match since this one, bit too scared that I'm going to just drop to 0 LP and stay there. But I'm hoping that I'm going to work my way up still. I felt that I was kind of steadily increasing all the time I've been playing. I haven't really found any sort of stagnation yet, so hopefully that's going to keep on going, and I'll stagnate once I'm in Diamond, but we will see. I'm going to bring you some more update videos on here as the weeks go by and I'm still off work, and I'll let you know how it's all going. So until then, have a good time at home and keep yourself busy. Cheers!